I just saw the movie The Battle of L.A. and I'm not gonna make a critique of it or make a review because frankly I guess I suck at judging movies. I thought the 300 was a good movie, although apparently the general consensus was actual intellectuals that it's just an abomination. But so whatever. But so I'm not gonna make a judgment. But I did enjoy the movie, and what I did notice is I couldn't help but thinking it was definitely some sort of like recruitment piece, or probably could call it propaganda, sort of for the armed forces or in the U.S. military, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I definitely did get the sense of like, we are intentionally portraying, not just any human beings, but the U.S. Marines, in such a way as to show that Marines are noble and valiant and courageous, and they help civilians, and they never leave a man down, and they can hold the line even against the enemy, which is so much stronger. Of which I have no doubt for is true for most of our Marines and stuff. But I definitely got the sense that there was sort of an ulterior motive. Excuse me. But it got me thinking about the this whole trend of having the premise of an alien invasion movie, and why it seems to keep coming up, and why they always seem to do pretty well in the ticket boxes. And I think the reason why movies like this, I think the reason why there's so many of them and why they generally do pretty well is because they're morally easy. And you know if you look at all the movies that have been made with the premise of an alien invasion, I mean, there's War of the Worlds in all its three or four different versions. You got Signs, you got Independence Day, you got Mars Attacks, um, and now you got Battle of L.A. And you have sort of the reverse of it in Avatar, which I thought was clever, even though not the greatest movie ever. But and it's all over science fiction too, and you got stuff like Halo and Starcraft to a lesser extent. And I think the reason why that theme or that plot is popular is because it's morally easy. I mean, if humanity were to find itself in that situation, there would be no question that the only thing to do would be to fight. And you know, as far as wars go, you don't really have to think or debate about whether that kind of war would be right. I mean, it becomes less of an issue of morality, and um, it really just becomes nothing more than an issue of survival. And no one is going to not fight for their survival, sort of, or at least no one is. I don't know. No, very few people would willingly, accept an invasion or whatever, something like that. Um, So yeah, and I think the funny thing is when you compare it with like other war movies, and when you look at all the other war movies, at least in the U.S., it's why you also see like there are a lot more war movies about World War II than there are about like Vietnam or the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. I think the same applies to it because sort of you know from the Western perspective, there was very little doubt that the Germans and the Japanese were sort of morally despicable, at least from Western morality, or our morals. I mean, to them, they themselves were in the right, and it was the opposite. That's moral relativism, obviously, but I think that's why you see a lot more just action war movies about World War II instead of other things. And I think that's also why if you look at like Vietnam flicks, especially like Full Metal Jacket, there's usually always a, sort of an element of like who is the real bad guy here. So that's basically it. Alien invasion flicks are appealing because you don't have to think too much. Um, like I said, I enjoyed Battle of Lele. I would recommend it if you're looking for a good action flick. Um, it's not too intellectually stimulating, but it's not necessarily always a bad thing. Um, you know, not all movies can be The Matrix or whatever. So, yeah. Bye bye.